Welcome to Bayanat, the heartbeat of tech in MENA. We bring you raw stories and sharp insights from the founders, investors, and leaders building the region's startup ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
So glad you could join us. Our mission today is to unpack the ultimate founder playbook, and we are doing that through the 4-decade career of Osman Sultan.
Right, the visionary who built two of the Arab world's biggest telecom brands, right, Mobinil and Du.
Exactly. But today, he is deep into this existential frontier of AI.
Yeah, and this isn't just a biography, it's really a masterclass for you, whether you're a founder or an investor, on how to spot these exponential shifts in human behavior, like long before the data even proves those shifts exist.
Okay, so before we talk about the AI revolution that's disrupting businesses today, I mean, we really have to look at how Osman capitalized on the internet before it was even called the internet.
Oh yeah, back in 1983.
Right, so he actually started as a materials engineer. He was studying like chemistry and metallic alloys, but he accidentally joins a France Telecom subsidiary.
Which is just wild.
It is, and he ends up working on these early online databases. It's essentially the internet before the internet, accessed via these very specific typed commands.
Yeah, and you have to understand, working inside that raw machine gave him this unique lens. He stopped looking at what the tech could physically do and started watching what it made people want to do.
Right, which brings us to Egypt in 1998 with Mobinel.
Yes. So the experts at the time projected this highly conservative 6% mobile penetration over 10 years.
6%.
I know, right? Because they just assumed it was a luxury. They looked at purchasing power and treated a mobile phone like an expensive landline.
But Osman remembered this moment from Paris, right? He remembered watching his 12-year-old sister playing chess with a cousin on the Minitel, which was this early French online service.
Exactly. And because of that memory, he bet entirely on human behavior instead of just affordability.
Right, he realized connectivity wasn't a luxury.
No, it's a basic human right. So his slogan became, "A mobile in the hand of everyone." And the result? They hit 1 million subscribers in under a year and a half.
Which completely shattered those financial models. But then, fast forward to 2005 in the UAE with Du, this was a totally different market.
Completely different. The UAE already had near 100% penetration. You couldn't just sell basic connectivity anymore.
Right, so he pivots to this slogan, add life to life.
Yeah, and the nuance there is key. It wasn't about adding music to life, but adding life to music, making those everyday human experiences more immediate.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second.
Right.
Because in Egypt, it was essentially like selling water in the desert, right? You just have to build the pipes fast enough.
Exactly.
But in the UAE, it was like selling water right next to a fresh spring. Suddenly you have to sell this like flavored vitamin-infused experience.
That's a great analogy. And it highlights something founders miss all the time. They rely way too heavily on these conservative financial models, and they totally miss that new technologies create entirely new human behaviors and dependencies.
Yeah, but recognizing a shift in human behavior, that's really just step one. I mean, scaling a company to meet that kind of exponential demand requires a very specific type of leadership.
Oh, absolutely. And Osman admits something pretty surprising here. He says he isn't a functional expert in IT or finance or even networks.
Wait, really? The guy running the massive telco?
Yeah, he says his actual superpowers are branding, communication, and corporate culture. His leadership model is what he calls the orchestra conductor.
Okay, like that. So he's not the best violinist in the room.
Right, but he is the one who aligns all the players. He has these core principles, and one of them is being stubborn on the vision, but flexible in the implementation.
That makes sense.
And he prioritizes stakeholders in a very specific order. Customers first, then employees and shareholders last.
Which probably drives some boards crazy.
Oh, for sure. But his logic is that shareholder return is just a byproduct of nailing the first two. And to keep all those people aligned, he uses this concept he calls the narrative drawers.
Narrative drawers.
Yeah, so the CEO is the ultimate storyteller. You have to tell the exact same story to your regulators, your employees, and the media. But you pull from different drawers of that truth to maintain total integrity while speaking their specific language.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, but also kind of tricky. If you are constantly adapting your story for the board versus, say, your engineers, isn't there a huge risk of diluting the core vision?
Well, see, that's the trap, but it's really about adherence, not consensus.
Okay, explain that.
You're just explaining the why from different vantage points without ever changing the what. You aren't asking for permission, you're translating the mission. And that is vital for any startup CEO managing a complex web of stakeholders today.
Yeah, you have to keep everyone playing the same song.
Yeah.
But, a great conductor also has to know when the music itself is changing. And Osman is remarkably candid about where telcos actually failed, which is what directly fuels his aggressive pivot into AI today.
Yeah, he fully admits that telcos missed the opportunity to move up the value chain.
They just stayed as the pipes.
Right. They remained at this commoditized connectivity level, while platforms like Netflix just swooped in and took over the ecosystem.
So where does he see the future of telcos going now?
He sees it in infrastructure, things like private 5G, end-to-end IT, owning the interface, and crucially, data centers.
Data centers,
Yeah.
because compute power is the new electricity.
Exactly. Which brings us to his AI pivot. He considers himself a macro philosopher now, and he's an active investor in 4 different AI ventures.
Right, there's Converse AI, Utune, Wisdomize, and Sparrow.
Yeah, he is deeply in the trenches, and because he's in the trenches, he has this massive warning for founders. He cites this Anthropic data showing that jobs are already being heavily impacted right now.
Yeah, the numbers are wild. It's like 32% of math and computer roles and 28% of business and finance roles.
Right, so he gives founders this 2-level advice. Level 1 is just optimizing your ecosystem for efficiency, like using AI to do things faster.
Which everyone is doing.
Right. But
Right.
level 2, and this is the hard part, is stepping back and asking if your entire ecosystem is going to be replaced by AI.
Wow. So what does this all mean for the founders listening? It sounds like people are obsessing over putting a jet engine on a horse-drawn carriage when Osman is saying you need to ask if the carriage itself is about to be obsolete.
That is exactly it. And the founders who survive are going to realize that tomorrow's most valuable skill won't be deep, narrow specialization.
Because the AI can do the specialized task.
Exactly. The real skill will be the ability to orchestrate multiple AI systems, the need for those conductors we talked about. That is going to multiply exponentially.
Okay, but this orchestration isn't just happening at the corporate level for Osman.
Yeah.
It's deeply personal for him too, right?
Oh, it gets very personal.
Yeah.
And it leads to some of the most profound and honestly terrifying questions of his entire career.
Because he uses ChatGPT for his Arabic poetry.
Yeah. He loves writing poetry, and he notes that the AI output is, it's mediocre at first.
Right.
But then when he fine-tunes it himself, it becomes brilliant,
Yeah.
showing that humans still provide that essential spark of creation.
But that line is getting so thin. Which brings up what he sees as the biggest risk AI actually taking over.
Yeah, he points out that humans only dominate Earth due to our intelligence, not our physical strength. And now we are actively building something that is more intelligent than us.
Which is terrifying.
He argues this needs global governance, much like how we handle nuclear technology.
Nuclear-level governance. And yet, he's interacting daily with an AI digital twin of himself.
Yes. A digital twin trained on his own voice, his personal philosophy, and his decades of thinking.
That is just, it's like having a co-author who is literally a compressed digital version of your own soul. You really have to wonder, when he is interacting with it, who is actually teaching who?
It's his ultimate contradiction. He's investing in these tools that replace human labor while simultaneously writing a book to defend human dignity. And the twin itself argues that AI is just a mirror, forcing us to define what we cherish most about humanity.
It forces you to figure out where the human stops and the technology begins.
Yeah, right.
And that leaves you, our listener, with a final lingering question to really mull over. If a digital twin is trained on all your philosophies and it continues to learn and interact after you step down or even after you're gone, can an AI actually carry forward a human legacy? Does your startup's culture genuinely outlive you, or does an algorithm just mimic it?
That's the question we're all going to have to answer. For more stories like this, subscribe to Bayanat's newsletter and stay updated on the latest in MENA's tech and startup ecosystem.